Welcome to Rockstar Doctor Life. I'm Melissa Longo, and each episode, my guests and I will bring you fresh, fun ways to rock your life as a health professional and create a business that aligns with who you are and the life you want to live. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Rockstar Doctor Life. I am joined by a couple in private practice and a couple who is doing some really great things as outside the walls of their practice. And I want to introduce you today to Doctors Andrea and Eric Nazarenko. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. We are excited to be here.
Well, you guys are doing some really great things. Obviously, you have a young family. I've got a lot of questions for you because I watch some of the things you're up to and think, how are they making this all work? So we'll get into some of your day-to-day life, which I'm sure a lot of docs can relate to, having young families, having a busy practice. But before we dig into that, I'd love to hear, and I'm sure everyone else would love to hear, just a sort of a snapshot about who you guys are. What are you up to right now? So why don't, Andrea, why don't you take it away first?
Sure. So we are a chiropractic family by the definition of chiropractic family, where we walk the walk and talk the talk and breathe and eat chiropractic. Eric is the chiropractor, and I'll let him introduce himself. I'm not a chiropractor. I am a community psychologist or quantitative psychologist, which basically means that I work at the systems level to change human conditions. So when you typically think about a psychologist, you think about lay on my couch and tell me your childhood. And I did that for many years in my training. I worked with serious and violent youth offenders. I worked in jails. I worked with pretty much the worst of the worst. My dissertation was on gang activity. And then I burned out. And more specifically than burning out, I realized that we don't have the resources to help people, whether you're talking about health or physical health or emotional health or behavioral health. Our systems aren't set up for success. And so I became really involved in what we call second order change, which is instead of trying to intervene in an individual's life, intervene in the system, and then the individuals will change. And so I've poured my passion into that. We spend billions and billions and billions of dollars each year on programs that are mediocre at best and get no outcomes. And so, living the chiropractic lifestyle and being married to a chiropractor, I see all of the miracles, for lack of a better word, that chiropractic offers. And so I do research and practice to help move the healthcare system towards a healthier healthcare system rather than a sick care system, and spreading the word and empowering families to live holistic chiropractic lifestyles, and focus a lot on implementation. I do a lot of research in implementation and how you can use science and what we know about what doesn't work to create things that do work and to be successful in practice.
Mm-hmm. So does that mean that you are doing active, what does a day look like for you? Do you have an office that you're going to and you're doing this kind of work, or are you doing more research, or are you doing more policy writing?
All of the above. My office is my computer, so I do a lot of work within our own chiropractic office. Being a holistic mom, a lot of we have a family practice, so a lot of the families like to pick my brain, and we like to be the face of what our practice is about. And I'll let Eric talk about that a little bit more. But so I'm here, my office is in our practice, and I do a lot of the background legwork associated with running a high volume clinic. But I also work with government agencies. I'm working with, and I'm really interested in global health as well. So I'm working with the commissioner of health in Nigeria to improve sickle cell care there. I'm working with deputies of health in Thailand to improve to help elders. Though in Thailand, they define an elder as 60 years old. So I don't, it's not really elders, but, but to improve their physical activity to maintain their cognition as they age up. I'm working with the U.S. military to prevent sexual assault, sexual harassment in the military service academies. What else am I doing? I have a foot in a lot of different things. The common theme is there are ways, I don't have expertise in all those areas, but what my expertise is in is how to take something new and bring it into a new place. So here I do a lot of work with taking the stuff I publish and bringing it here to integrate functional medicine into our practice. And so I work a lot, we talk to chiropractic friends all the time about how to successfully integrate new programs into your chiropractic practice, whatever that may be. I mean, how many chiropractors have nutritional supplements sitting on their shelf and they never actually do anything with it because it's just sitting there. So how do you make it alive? How do you bring it alive? And so whether you're talking about chiropractic or you're talking about parenting or you're talking about, sexual assault and military service academies, it's all the same common theme of how do you bring new things into new places and do it well.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And so, Eric, you are the chiropractor, you're adjusting people. Tell us a little bit more about your role, obviously, in your practice and what you two are working on.
Yeah, absolutely. So Andrea is the implementation side of things, and she's the nitty gritty. As she just explained, I am kind of the action side as far as patient care goes, the clinical side, if you will. We are a high volume family practice. In every sense of the word, you will see our families here. I tell all new patients we are unapologetically family friendly. You will hear and see kids playing here. And when we opened, we said we're going to be unapologetically family friendly, and the world needs more of that. And so that's who we are. And rolling out functional medicine in this practice has really been a natural transition. We wanted to do it the right way without sacrificing a single chiropractic adjustment, because that is so important to me. But it's, at the end of the day, the same message. It's about function. It's about how to let the body do what it can do better and do what it should be doing.
So one of the ways that our two streams work together is because, from a implementation side, one of the big gaps and why there's a lot of mediocrity in healthcare in the world is that there's this gap between what we know works in research and what people do in the real world. And one of the problems of overcoming that barrier is that physicians, chiropractors don't have the time to read every single empirical article that comes out and then figure out how to implement it. Like, it's not feasible to do all of that and then, translate it to action. And so the way we combine and sort of move forward is that I'm kind of in the background reading all the research, distilling it all, synthesizing it all, and handing it over to say, hey, this is really important for you to know. And so then he implements it and moves forward. And so it's this really nice, sort of synthesis and translation of what works from a science side and what works from a practice side. And when you blend those together, you get the synergy of,
you can make it really successful.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was going to be one of my questions for you too. Being a professional couple, how do you find that your personal relationship and your professional relationship thrives, right? Because a lot of docs have, they're in partnership situations too with their spouse. And, there's different tips that you may have to share with people. So I'd love to hear. So in your practice, it sounds like you've already, decided what your strengths are and you're catering to those. But do you have anything specific, Eric, that helps you and Andrea work well together in the practice?
Yeah, well, I think that's just it, knowing your strengths and knowing your weaknesses, because I am not, like Andrea said, I am not going to sit and read a whole bunch of peer-reviewed literature. Don't have the time for that. I'm bouncing between rooms and I don't want to do that, honestly. I want to know what it says. I want you to boil it down and knowing your strengths, knowing your weaknesses. And then I think also having the utmost respect for someone. When people come to this office, it's Dr. Andrea and Dr. Eric. It's not just Dr. Eric from a hierarchy situation. It is a team effort. We are, again, family practice in every sense of the word, including how we operate together.
Andrea, anything to add there that what you think makes your professional relationship work as well as it does?
Yeah, I think, we have an awesome team. So it's not just the two of us who are making this office work. It's that we have a killer team that they are naturally amazing people. However, we've also built a culture that allows for everybody to have their role. And so we have created a community culture where, like Eric said, we're not this hierarchy where whatever I say goes, but instead we empower our staff to want to do things. And so what happens is they initiate and they do things on their own and say, hey, is that cool? Could I run with this? And it's like, sure, run with it because I know you're going to do things with quality. And so then what that becomes is that it's not just me and Eric differentiating, you do this and I do that.
Right.
It's rather everybody has their role. Everybody has a job function and is spinning this cogwheel. So we'll joke around and say, hey, you're the clinical team and I'm the billing team. And you know, Catherine's the creative team, and like our teams mostly consist of one person, but we, you know, colloquially joke with each other about it. But it's true that everybody has a role to keep things moving forward. And the only times that we run into barriers are when we start stepping on each other's feet. So Eric takes an insurance issue and I'm like,
handle that.
No, stop, I've got insurance, I'll take that, you know. Or like someone asks me a chiropractic question, I'm like, that's Eric's wheelhouse, go ask him that question. So knowing what we do and where our boundaries are is the key to moving everything forward.
And now what we haven't talked about yet is the fact that you have 3 young little boys. And let's talk about, how do you guys shift gears? I mean, so you've got this busy high volume practice, you're working together. How do you set up your personal life, your family life, to allow yourself to be these amazing holistic parents that are hands-on with your boys?
Yeah. Well, first of all, we started out really strongly convicted that we were going to make this happen. Like, I was not, you know, I think as moms, we get presented with this option of, you could be a working mom or a stay-at-home mom, and you pour all of yourself into one of those things. And same with dads, you know, like dad goes off to work, he comes home. And when we first had our first board, we made a very conscious decision that that wasn't what we were going to do. And we were going to figure this out. And we were really going to be principled, for lack of a better word, in how we are going to do this. And so, is there a work-life balance? I don't know how we get work-life balance, because it's just life.
Yeah.
It's like, this is our
life balance.
Life balance. We go to work, and our children are with us. They're right outside the door as we speak, playing with our CA, because she came in to play with the kids. But they, you know, they're here, and we created our practice around them being here. So other kids come in and they're like, hey, where are your kids? I want to go play with them. And so it creates a culture. Again, we go back to this culture and community where they're expected to be here. And our patients who've been with us for a long time love seeing them, because they're watching them grow. And so, you know, childcare means that we have a community of families all helping each other out. And so, you know.
Yeah, and that was really always, like Andrea said, going back to that, what did we see? We really defined early on what would be ideal. And so when the kids in the morning are at preschool, you know, then they come here. What would be ideal is that I get to see my children every day. What would be ideal is that people get to see what a healthy, you know, thriving family looks like, so we can be an example of that. And so that's, you know, we followed the target, we followed the vision, and haven't looked back, and aren't going to apologize for it. We are not for everyone. I'll say that. And I tell new patients that, like, if you're looking for the typical sterile white coat environment, it's not us.
And we play that out for our staff as well. So like our front desk staff was, you know, she now moved to a different city, but she was nursing still her 2-year-old, 2.5, I think it was just, and she didn't have childcare at the time. She just was going through a divorce. So we said, you know, bring them in. And so she would answer the phone and be nursing, and it immediately, we're a family wellness practice. So like, there are some people who came in who probably maybe 2 ever who were like, this is not for me. I really want the traditional medical model type office. But the majority of people who walk in are like,
they love it.
I feel so comfortable because I'm nursing my kid. And now I feel immediately like you understand me, you know? And even if they're grandfathers, they're like, oh, I miss when my wife was nursing my kids, you know? So it's like I have a personal desire to make, you know, we talk about the maternal care system in this country and how broken it is. And I can't fix it at a population level, but I could fix it at a local level by just walking the walk and talking the talk. And some days it's stressful, and some days I can't wait to go to bed. And but I'm so grateful that I have the opportunity to do it.
Yeah, what I love about that is it's completely congruent with who you guys are, right? It sounds to me, and this is something that all listeners, you know, if you haven't taken a good, clear look at your personal values, on your vision for your life, on your business values, and really gotten clear with them, you're missing a huge part of your business growth and your growth and evolution as a human being. And living a life that's, I mean, you would know this, I guess, Andrea, you know, as a psychologist, like living a life that's not congruent with who you innately are and what you want is really, it creates a lot of stress. So you guys are really clear on that. And it sounds to me like you have been from the beginning. This is what we want. We're unapologetically gonna build a practice that's right for us.
Right.
Now, having said that, I'm sure at points, maybe you've had, like you said, people come in and go, this is not my scene, right? How do you deal with that as a doc? Like, I mean, we want to help everyone. So do you have any things that has helped you be okay and being more grounded and certain in what you're offering?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll give an example of someone who came in for a massage, didn't realize that we were a family wellness center. At the time, our massage room was still up front. Now we've expanded into the back where it's much more quiet. But she had left and just kind of said, like, not exactly what I was expecting. She thought she was coming to like a spa-like setting, which we're not. So of course, you do damage control. You want to leave, people satisfied or happy. So we offered her to come back for massage at a time that we weren't open. The massage therapist could take care of her then, but also let her know that after that, this probably wasn't a good fit. And, ultimately she knew that. And we obviously knew that. And so just doing the right thing, being kind in the moment, but then also, just saying, I think it's best to go different ways.
That, and, we have, in addition to working, we're big on community, if you haven't figured that out by me saying the word 20 times already during this show. But, we have awesome chiropractors in our community, and we don't really believe that we should ever be competing with another chiropractor, because the goal is to get everybody under chiropractic care, not everybody under his care, right? Like, everybody could benefit from chiropractic. So if we would be doing worse service for an individual if we said, no, we are the solution for you, and we focused on our ego and getting them to come to us, rather than getting them to go to the chiropractor that fits for them.
Right.
So chiropractic is the best practice. It's the way that could help you. But if it doesn't fit with your cultural belief, like you want a culture and a practice that is very white coat and quiet, and you don't have to step over a toy potentially in your way, then, he sees a lot of children on the spectrum. Children on the spectrum are loud, oftentimes. So if that's going to bother you, we know the people who are going to be a good fit for you, and we are happy to refer them over, because that's our goal, is to get people sustainably under chiropractic care. The same thing goes for distance. I mean, he's got people who travel, like an hour and a half to come see him. And we're like, we can get you a chiropractor closer to you. And they're like, no, I'm still coming. But it's really true. There have been times we've said, listen, I love you coming here, but this isn't sustainable in the long term. How could we make chiropractic care sustainable for you? And finding someone closer to you may be the solution. And I think as long as we're rooted in the chiropractic mission and not our ego, then it benefits the patient.
Yeah, I love that you use that word ego, because I think sometimes I hear docs and what their procedures are, how they're running their office, and I think, who is that serving? Is that really patient friendly? Is it really service oriented? And to each his own, but sometimes I think it needs to be a step back and think about, how are you designing a business that really is honoring people's unique, needs and respecting them as humans. So did you guys get to this point because of, did you start your practice with this mindset, or did you have something that triggered it along the way? Because a lot of docs listening might not have this kind of confidence in establishing barriers and confidence, and like, look, we're a family practice. If it's not for you, it's not for you. A lot of docs want to help everyone and would be really hesitant to turn someone away.
Right.
Well, I'll say this, when our first son was born, I was still an associate, and there were days that I would leave the house that he was asleep still, and I would get home from that practice and he was already asleep for the night. And those days killed me, because I said, this is not ideal. This is not congruent, as you mentioned, with the life I want to live. I've always wanted my own business, my own practice. And so what does that look like for us? To answer the question, though, about that comfort and confidence level, in the beginning, it was about one thing. You got to cover overhead, right? You have to be able to keep the doors open. So you're going to do the screenings. You're going to do, the talks and all that stuff. I'm proud to say that we no longer have to screen. When we go out to an event, we do that as a community outreach. And I think a lot of that is because of that unapologetic nature of, we're not for everyone. Here's who we are. And if you're here for family wellness, this is a great fit. And, it's built a sustainable practice that way, because we're not chasing every new patient. We're not trying to get everyone under my care. We want everyone under chiropractic care, but we want the people who want to be here to be here. And they are great at referring people who also want to be here.
I think there's two specifics that builds off of what Eric was saying as well, in terms of the confidence level, which I think is a really important one. So one is the confidence to know that, when we first opened, as Eric said, it was like, we just want people here to cover overhead. And so very specifically what we would do at that point in time was we knew, because we were a small practice, when you're at the place where you are just trying to cover overhead because you just opened and you're trying to create this vision, but not everyone who walks through the door is going to be someone who fits our perfect mold, right? You're at a screening, you're going to get people who don't fit the perfect mold. Scheduling them when it would fit them. So if we had a family of 5 kids coming in and we knew they were loud, or we had some mom who just had a baby and we knew she happened to be really needy and would grab my ear for a real long time, we wouldn't schedule them around somebody else who's just stepping into chiropractic care and is like, this is a cultural shock, right? So we were very strategic in who we place, and we still are. If we have a family that we know is a high needs family, we make sure that we don't have a brand new patient on at the same time, because we would be doing huge disservice if we gave an impression of chiropractic in any sort of negative light. So when we schedule, we make sure that the patients that are on at different times are congruent with each other. The second point I was going to make first was scheduling. Of course, it's going to slip my mind.
Well, connection, I think, is really important in building community, right? I love connecting people in my practice too. I love it when, and you can't obviously talk about it because of privacy regulations, but when you see the schedule, go, oh, it's going to be so fun in here because that person knows that person, or they have something in common with that, or they're going to run into their friends here and kids are going to have a play date. And it's that community and that feel. And when you have that kind of practice, it feeds off of itself. And it is, like you said, Eric, much more sustainable and organic with growth too.
Right.
And we physically made a decision. I think this is a detail that people often overlook, is that we physically made a decision to keep open space available for people. So in our practice, we have a very large open room. We have adjusting rooms, we have a play room, we have orthopedics room, an exam room, massage rooms, but then we have a large open space. And as we started to expand, we started to say, hey, should we close in the space a little bit? We could fit another adjusting room there, or we could do this, or we could do that. And we said, no, we're not going to do it, because when people have an opportunity to congregate, they do congregate. And that's what happens. And one of my favorite things that I hear when moms walk in, especially new moms, is they'll say to somebody else, hey, I think I know you. I think we're Facebook friends. Or like, hey, I've seen you on the Holistic Mom boards. And then all of a sudden they've made a personal connection with another mom that strengthens, and this is a core belief in our practice, strengthens making chiropractic the norm. So one of our core beliefs is that children should be raised with wellness being a norm, not being an add-on. And so we create an environment where kids want to come to. Kids request from their parents to come here because it's fun, because they like it. And so parents come here, and then parents meet other parents. And now these kids are being raised in these mini networks of chiropractic and wellness being a norm. And so it's a very intentional, we call ourselves unapologetically family friendly. Our kids are there. Our kids are doing it too. But it's not chaos.
Right.
There's a difference between chaos and kids being kids. And ours is, we have shaped our world so that it's kids being kids to make wellness a norm, not, it's controlled. It's
Well, it's all strategic. It's all strategic. I think having that vision, going back to that, and knowing what you want allows you to be strategic in how you're going to implement that. And so those things, when they come together, form this force that's beyond you. You don't even have to say words. I feel like I haven't had to sell chiropractic in years now, because you can see it. People walk in and they say immediately, oh, I feel the energy of this place. And it's like, but that's by design, not by mistake.
It sounds to me like the biggest strategy for your growth, and I'd like some clarification on this because it may not be the case, but is creating that environment, creating the culture, and also really being congruent with who you are and generating referrals. But do you have for docs listening, other really specific key growth strategies for your practice that you'd like to share?
We do social media a lot. Our general growth strategy is, in a very psychological sense of the term, to tap into what I call social environmental pathways. So I want to tap into, we know who our ideal patient is, right? We are the holistic family, and we treat holistic families. And that doesn't mean we exclusively do. Probably one of our biggest patient population is like older men, but they love our culture still, because you don't have to be a holistic mom to love being part of it. But we tap into the things that are important to them. So moms are on social media a lot. So we're in the Holistic Moms groups. We go to, Eric mentioned, community outreach. We're out there. We're not trying to sell somebody on chiropractic. We're not out there trying to tell people, you know, that they definitely need to be here, all that stuff. What we do is we go out there as a caring person who wants to talk about things. We are available to them. And because we are where they are, they approach us and ask us questions. And one of my favorite things I hear on social media is you'll see people referring places and someone will say, I go to Old Mill Chiropractic, and I'll look at Eric and I'll say, have you ever met this person? And they don't, but they identify with being part of us, even though they've never walked through the door. So I know as soon as they need a chiropractor, they're walking through our door.
I'm their chiropractor before they have entered our office, which is really cool. And I'll tell you a little bit about what that community outreach looks like. So we do our Lexington Fall Fest, which is in town here. Yep, it's at the police department. And being available up there means I'm up there blowing up balloons that say Old Mill Chiropractic and handing them out. And so when you walk around that festival, you see about 1,000 balloons of kids carrying their balloon. This is Old Mill Chiropractic. That's our strategy with that. We're not trying to screen you, but you will know who we are and you will know what we're about without us having to tell you.
We go to La Leche League. We're really involved in La Leche League. We bring a bubble machine and kids pop bubbles. And when kids are popping bubbles, the parents are talking to us. And we're not talking to them like, let me screen you, we're the answer to all of your problems. We're talking to them about how chiropractic can help breastfeeding and how breastfeeding is great for gut health. And we're just giving value to them and not trying to capture them to get them to pay us money. And that switch, because we did that in practice growth when we needed to do overhead, we did that. We were out there, we were doing that, and it was burning us out. It wasn't consistent with who we are. We didn't like trying to convince people. We didn't like trying to capture people and try to make it about the money, because that's not why we got into this. We got into this to help people. And so going out there and just providing value and helping people comes back. You know, I don't know how you would measure it in terms of return on investment from a dollar standpoint, but you know, I'm sure you could somehow.
How long have you guys been in practice now?
Just shy of 5 years. Yeah, not quite 5 years yet.
Yeah. And so what keeps you so inspired? Because I can hear it in both of you. You know, I want to talk a little bit about more what you're doing with the functional medicine stuff and expanding outside your practice, but you have a lot of passion for what you're doing in your practice and how you want to help. Obviously, you know, Andrea, you said, you know, fixing things at a local level so that they can make a global impact there as well. But what inspires you every day?
I think there's two main avenues. One is being able to see the potential, being able to have people reach their full potential and a whole different trajectory of life, and really focusing on that positive. And then, you know, sometimes it's unfortunately the negative. I'll give you an example of a new patient that I had yesterday. He was addicted for 2 years on opioids, and it almost ruined his life. And he had his first chiropractic adjustment yesterday, and he got off the table and he's like, I can't friggin' believe this, how good my body feels, and I haven't taken a thing. And so when you look at, you know, our current, in the US here, our current healthcare system, we spend more money than any other nation, and we're ranked like the lowest of developed nations. It's abysmal. And so the problem, there's a disconnect with that. We're not a healthy nation, we're a sick nation that focuses on sick care. And that drives me freaking bananas, because we have all the resources. We just need to shift the perspective from symptom-based reactive care to proactive and functional care. And that's why we do what we do. And that's what inspires me.
How about you, Andrea?
So there's two answers I'm going to give. One is, it almost sounds cliche, but I'm going to say my kids, because I feel like most moms out there would give that same answer, and dads too, but it's really true. Like when I look at the condition, especially, you know, with all of this vaccine stuff that's going on and mandated medical procedures and all of that stuff, I'm afraid. And then you look at the way our food system is being polluted, and our water system and our air and all of this stuff we're doing to introduce toxicities into our environment. I fear for my kids. And so when I hear my kids say things like, what were we doing the other day? And we said something about a shot at a doctor's office, and my 5-year-old looked at us and said, you mean the doctor's going to shoot him? Because he's never had a needle before. And I thought, what? Or he said, why would somebody want to have a baby in a hospital? I don't get it. And it was like, just seeing how fresh a pair of eyes could be and how easy it is to make a norm be wellness oriented motivates me, because it's like, that's what we need in this world. And I don't want them growing up in a world where they don't feel empowered and they feel like other people are controlling their healthcare decisions. Mm-hmm. I also personally have a story. I got really sick with my gut back in college years, and I found a chiropractor who was able to help me. And so I was quiet about it for very many years because people would think I was crazy if I talked out about how food was bothering me and all of this stuff, which now we know scientifically truly exists. But, you know, Eric and I navigated through this world of healing before it existed in, you know, mainstream, if it's even in mainstream.
Yeah, she got to a point where we realized this is kind of on us at this point. One of the doctors she went to looked at her as a 21-year-old female that was wasting away as far as her weight went. And she was telling them, I can't physically eat. It hurts to eat. And the response was, oh, you just need to gain weight. You're 21 years old. Clearly it's an eating disorder. Go eat a Big Mac. And it was like, are you kidding? First of all, that's the worst advice any doctor's ever given. Go eat a Big Mac. But, you know, it was dismissive. And so it really felt like, okay, this is going to be on us to figure out what's going on with you and kind of fuel that whole functional medicine avenue that we walk now.
And so when I see so many families now suffering from things that I went through, and I know that this knowledge that we've gained could help them, or that chiropractic could help them because it helped us, it's like, that's what fuels me, because it's like, you need to know this. And I know that sometimes we ring on dead ears, and that's just the nature of our current healthcare system. But for those ears that it does ring true to, and when they walk in the door and then they feel better, it's like this just reinforcement cycle, because it's like, okay, I hear you, and we did make a difference, and you did it. Your body did the work. Your willpower did the work, and we simply provided you with information to do that. And if we could do that to many people, the community that my kids grow up in will be different. Mm-hmm. But also what motivates us is the community of chiropractors. We're lucky to be surrounded by good chiropractors.
Mm-hmm. And you gotta find your tribe.
Yeah. And that's a big one, because without it, I don't think we would have the boldness to speak out the way we have.
That's awesome. So it's kind of a good, quick little transition there into what you guys are creating around the functional medicine piece. You know, you shared, Andrea, that, and Eric, because you had to take your own health into your own hands and figure out your own solutions and your own answers. This is what's inspired you to want to create this kind of program or ideas so that other chiropractors can start to bring in more functional health into their practices?
Yeah. Do you want to go?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So we realized that we were seeing tremendous results with people, with our systems, and with Andrea diving into the literature and research, making sure that we were giving everyone the best that we could get for them, and doing pre and post testing, beta test group stuff. We're planners. We like to think of the long-term vision and then make sure it works before we really announce it or roll it out. And so that took a little bit of time to develop our systems and our protocols, but we realized I can only see so many people, and I'm not coming off the tables yet. So during these hours, I'm adjusting people. And during these hours, because it's a more intimate meeting, we're doing functional medicine or functional nutritional assessments. And that is shifting of gears within the practice, but there's only so many hours in the day. So we kind of looked at each other and said, how do we help more people if I can only be here, you know, for these many hours, or we can only see these many people? And Andrea came up with the answer of, we need to be able to teach this to other practitioners. We need to be able to make a bigger splash so they can roll it out without having to do all the legwork that we've already done, without having to understand it all, easily roll it out to help more people.
Yeah, so to dive deeper into that, we have a completely evidence-based protocol that we use, and the results we see, it's sort of that, you know, when a chiropractor adjusts somebody and the miracle happens and you still get surprised by how chiropractic can be so amazing. That's sort of how I feel about our gut health protocols. It's like, I know it's going to work, and that it does work, and I'm surprised again that it works. And so we've got programs developed, but what's really the key piece here is that it works within a high volume practice. I love my husband dearly, but he looks at me crazy when I give him another checklist to do, because I'm a data person. So I'm like, here, fill this out. He's like, nope, not doing it. Let's synthesize this so it works for a chiropractor.
Time to roll.
So I take like my research hat and have to adapt it to be a chiropractor hat that works for a chiropractor. And so we've done all of that work, and we really just want to to share it with other chiropractors so that they could take, the synthesis and translation of all of the literature out there and be the leaders in their community related to gut health and functional health. And really what it all boils down to is getting to the root cause. So whether you're talking about the root cause being a chiropractic central nervous system, or a root cause being a gut health issue, or the synergy between the both of them, that's what we're getting at. And so it has expanded our practice hugely, and we want to help other chiropractors do that, because we truly believe that when chiropractors are practicing like that, we could pull us towards the center of the healthcare system, be more core and centrally located in healthcare, rather than like out here for a back paid session.
So just to give us a little bit of an idea of what that looks like in your practice, everyone comes in, they're going to get seen by you, Eric, as a chiropractor. And then does everyone also get introduced to, oh, by the way, you need this kind of evaluation, and maybe you need to work on your gut or your energy levels or your reproductive health, or
how do you
integrate that into your practice?
Not everyone gets that. And the reason is, again, we're not here to sell anything. But as we dive into history and we start talking and getting to know people, things start to become a little bit clearer. And, the functional medicine side has also brought people into the chiropractic side. And that's what's so cool about the way that we're doing this is it's become its own referral source for the chiropractic side. And the chiropractic side has become referral source for functional medicine. But no, I do not believe that every single person needs to see me for a functional medicine consult. You have a spine and nervous system, and if it's functioning, you're going to do better than you were before it was. However, there are people that you're going to need a little bit more on the nutritional side of things. We need to support the process of the body. We need to promote, that natural health and well-being, and we need to do that through function. And a lot of times that boils down to the dietary nutritional side of things.
So I like to see our patients. So we have two different tiers, I'll call them. We have people who come in specifically to seek out functional medicine. These are often people who have conditions that they have done the whole rigmarole of the medical community and have been placed on medications their whole life and feel exhausted and tired and not heard, and they're just looking for something. Those people oftentimes don't know anything about chiropractic and don't even really know why they're walking into a chiropractor's office. That is that is my favorite patient. Why? Because we now have opened their life not only to the gut healing and actually feeling better and getting the answers they need, but have opened the doors to what chiropractic does. We don't have any functional medicine patients who have not on their own converted to a chiropractic patient. Chiropractic patients come in as chiropractic patients, and some of them are very specifically, as soon as someone walks through the door, we give them a tour, and we immediately, or our CAs do, immediately talk about functional health, functional medicine, supplementation, and offer it as a solution. And then through, the iterative process of chiropractic and assessment, they get, they might get filtered into needing more support, but it depends on what level of support they need. But my point here is that it is a referral source, and it is bringing patients in the door because it is something that people need and want and don't know that chiropractic could help them until they experience it themselves.
Well, it's very complementary, right? It's complementary to your vision and to your values as chiropractors, with looking at the cause of a problem, with helping people restore internal homeostasis and balance through, the adjustments and their lifestyle choices.
Yeah.
So I think it's great. So, listeners, if you want to check out what Andrea and Dr. Eric have going on, definitely check out some of the links in the show notes there and connect with them. They've got a new book that's just out. They've got programs coming your way. So definitely, if this is something you want to add to your practice, these two are the ones to look at. Thank you so much for your time today. I really enjoyed chatting with you, getting to know you both a little bit more. And I look forward to watching how your practice and your business changes as your boys get older and people, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
As we enter into school age, it will take a whole new form.
Yeah, absolutely. It does. So thanks again for your time, and we'll connect again.
All right. Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed today's show. Find out more about today's guests and everything else that we talked about in the show notes. You can also find all this content and so much more, including videos, blog posts, and how you can work with me on the Rockstar Doctor Life website. If you haven't yet reviewed the show, we'd love it if you headed on over to iTunes, subscribe, and leave us a review about what your thoughts are about future episodes for the show and what you like best. Feel free to connect with me on Instagram at Melissa Longo DC, and of course on Facebook. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you next time.